Hello, sewing people of the internet. So in a lot of my videos, I like to convey some of the realities of at least what I encounter when I'm sewing and the mistakes I make, in the hopes that maybe I can help you not make the same mistakes that I make. You know, I have no shame. And despite the fact that I've been doing this for a number of years now, I still don't really know what I'm doing about 70% of the time. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what I'm doing to try to pull myself out of a hole I've dug for myself. Let me explain.
No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
So a very good friend of mine asked me if I could make new cushions for his RV. And for the banquette, dinette seating thing that converts to a bed or whatever. And so I've been working on that for a long time, way longer than it should have taken. We kind of hoped, I'd get them done in a month or so, and it's probably been 4 or 5 months now. This really has nothing to do with the project or my videos or whatever, but my sewing projects, I have to be able to drop at a moment's notice to deal with real work stuff. This is not my primary source of revenue, and I'm doing this as a favor to my friend, so unfortunately part of that means they have to wait. In any event, I ordered foam from Sailrite for the project. My friend sourced the fabric for the project from a local upholstery supply place. And here's where the problem came. I kind of gave them a rough idea of how much fabric would be needed. They purchased the fabric and they were told it was however many yards it was, like 10 yards or whatever. And that there was a little bit above whatever I told them I needed. I don't even remember the numbers anymore. It's been so long. The fabric was a closeout. There was no identifying markings, nothing to say what kind of fabric it was, the manufacturer, the color, nothing. Well, there's not enough. There's maybe barely enough to finish the project now. Partly because I made a mistake, although I can recover from the mistake, but mostly because of the way that I was constructing these cushions. Sailrite's website is extremely helpful in this regard and has some excellent tools for calculating fabric and showing how big the pieces you need to cut out are for different ways of constructing a cushion. In this case, I was doing what's called a boxed cushion. And that's where you cut out notches that form seams in the corners. So you make this cover is one piece. There's not multiple pieces sewn together. And that's great. It's simple to sew and very quick to make. They call it the 30-minute cushion on Sailrite's website. I haven't gotten it down to 30 minutes yet, but it is a relatively quick cushion to make. However, because of the size of the cushions that I've done, there's pretty big pieces of fabric left over that don't get used. So there was enough fabric to make all the cushions, but not when I cut it out the way I did. There may be some mistake on my part. I could have maybe laid it out differently. Just to be very clear, I don't really do upholstery. I dabble occasionally in it, and upholstery is a lot more than just sewing. So a lot of this could be completely my fault, but you may do the same thing. Hey, I got a sewing machine, my buddy needs some cushions, I can do that, and you can. But, this kind of stuff can happen. So, what I've decided to do is I did all the bottom cushions first, and now I have the back cushions remaining. The only way I'm going to be able to pull it off is by doing the top and bottom panel and boxing construction method. But now I'm nervous because I only have just enough fabric, I think, to do this. So what I'm going to do is, in this video, I'm going to show you how I make a cushion cover in that construction method. And I'm going to use some completely different but similar enough fabric to make it with, so I can make it, and if there's something wrong, I'll know before I cut into what I have left of this fabric that we're using. And I recommend that if you are tackling something like this and you're new to it, or you have a limited amount of material to work with, be comfortable with the idea of making a fake one out of a different fabric. Hopefully something that behaves similarly. I wouldn't want to use t-shirt jersey that stretches a lot or something that wouldn't be the same as this. But this fabric is close enough that I can make the cushion and confirm that I have all my measurements spot on and the cover's going to fit right. Then I can duplicate that in the actual fabric. Let's see how it goes. One of the few smart things I've done on this project is I made a map of how these cushions relate to one another. This cushion here is where the tabletop is. The way this setup works in the camper is you take these two cushions and put them here to fill this space out to make it a bed. And so what we decided to do is make an extra cushion so these could remain in place and the whole thing could be like a big day bed or something. So that cushion is extra. When I cut out my foam pieces, I marked them all so I know which ones are which. And now I just need to make a cover. And I wrote all the dimensions on the same paper so I can refer to them. So we're working on cushion C, which has a finished dimension of 13 inches by 37 inches by 4 inches thick. I'm going to use a different for me method for making this zipper plaque. If you want details on how to do this, check out Sailright's website. They have videos on how to make cushions that shows this in probably better detail than I'm going to. The basic process is the zipper plaque is cut wider than the rest of the boxing, and it's a little bit wider so that when you cut out for the zipper and fold the edges over, it'll come out to be the right size, hopefully. So I'm going to fold this right sides together. And the idea is you align the center of the zipper onto that fold and sew down the length that's defined by the zipper flange here. And then, never mind, I'll just show you. So I've sewn together the zipper plaque and the rest of the boxing and just test fit it on the foam to make sure that the seams are on the corners, and that seems to be fine. So now I'll sew the top and bottom plates to the boxing. Alright, so I'm happy with how the top panel and the boxing is fitting, so I'm going to go ahead and sew the bottom panel on. I'm not trying to make this video about how to make a cushion like this, but just to give you some information. From the finished dimensions that I was shooting for, I added a 1/2 inch in every dimension, and I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so that brings it back down to the finished dimension. And the foam is cut a 1/2 inch bigger in every dimension, so that when the cover goes on, it'll kind of squeeze the foam down to the dimension we want. So I'm going to sew the bottom panel on. Before I put the panel on, I want to make some match-up notches. I've got notches in the boxing so that I can make sure that I'm staying aligned all the way around. Long-time viewers will have seen this before, but I make my notches by folding the edge I want to put a notch in. Just get it, the corners lined up perfectly. That tells me where the exact center is. And then I just make just a tiny little notch, making sure that that notch will be entirely contained within the seam allowance. You don't want it to stick out into the actual cover. And that gives me a notch that I can use to line up with the corresponding notch on the boxing. So there you have it, finished mock-up cushion cover. From doing this cover, I feel confident to go ahead and start cutting up the actual material for the finished cushion. But I actually like how this turned out so much. I may cut up some of the extra foam I have and just, I don't know, make a bench or something for this to go on. So someone who knows how to do upholstery well would probably be able to find lots of fault with how I've done this. If you were one of those people and you have helpful comments, please post them in the comments section below. The point of this video is not to show you how to make this cushion. Go to Sailrite's website and you can learn all you need to know about making a cushion like this better than I did it. The real point of this video is sometimes it's helpful to take the extra time you need to make a fake version of what you're making out of whatever other fabric you may happen to have. It is helpful to have a reasonable stash of fabrics to experiment with. I think in the making of clothing they refer to this as a muslin because they use muslin fabric to make a fake dress or shirt or whatever. I don't know that for sure, but I think I've read something about that. Anyway, that's what I did here. I'm going to try to work on getting these cushions finished now. If you are not a subscriber, I would love it if you would join me as a subscriber. And if you like this video, clicking thumbs up really helps. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Look. What do you think?